Welcome to Connect with Carla B. I'm sitting here staring at the water, and there's a yacht in the water right here in South St. Pete. You guys know I'm South St. Pete centric. Can't get enough of, now I'm going to call it my sub-city. South St. Pete is my sub-city. So it's a city I identify with within the larger city. When people talk about Tampa, I always say, where is that exactly? It's one of my jokes. But I get to sit right now in the home of Mr., or like he can go by Mr. or he can go by the. You know, some people have earned the right to be called the Bob Devin Jones. And so I was sitting here for a bit, and we talk like brother and sister anyway. And so we catch up on family business when we get together. So we're not gonna be talking about no family business on here. We're just gonna be sharing about our connection. So trying to think. Ooh, I know who. So, Bobby, if I were to ask you to introduce yourself on this podcast as if James Baldwin was introducing you, what would you want us to know about you? What would be important for us to know about Bob Devin Jones?
Well, I would say this. If James Baldwin was introducing me, I would want him to somehow let the people know that not only am I an acolyte of his, the greatest person who's had an impact on my life, other than my mother and my father, my sisters and my brothers collectively, and Jamie Howell romantically, and every other situation that life gives you when you turn, from your middle 40s to about 69, I would want him to say that whatever mantle he left on the table, I picked it up. Because once a friend of mine, he was Kent Lidecker, he called me up and he said, I found you out. I said, yeah. He said, I was listening to NPR and I thought I was listening to you. And it turned out they were interviewing James Baldwin.
Oh, wow.
I didn't say anything. I just took a minute, 30 seconds, and I just started laughing because true, you found me out, and 2, 3, 4, and 5. Comparing me to James Baldwin doesn't get any better than that. So that would be, if I could pick up anything, that would be what I would want to pick up.
So now that's an introduction, y'all. That's what an introduction sounds like. And you know it sounds like an introduction because Carla Bristol ain't adding one single thing, not a thing, to it. So the other day I said to someone, I said, Bob Devin Jones is the person who says yes to everyone and the person who is hard to say no to. Has anyone ever said that to you, Bob? Hello, Jamie. Wonderful.
I never ask people. Jim always does.
So Jamie wants to host me while I am hosting a podcast with Bob. Yes, I will have a glass of water. Thank you. So no one told him we were doing a podcast. I love it. So, do you find that as much as you say yes, people I'll just say in this community, do you find like you get the yeses in return?
Absolutely. Like I went to this city hall on tour around the city on Wednesday night, I believe.
Yep, it was Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday night? And at Fossil Park, an area many of us don't get to that much, on MLK Jr. Street.
Okay.
And I'm treated very well in this town. I'm treated like an elder. And I'm so glad that I show up, because when I do, people show out. And so they're gracious, they're solicitous, they give me deference, they make me feel welcome. So I'm always glad that one, Spirit allowed me to get on up and get out the door and drive there. And the feeling is, whatever it is I can do, as long as I can do it, I want to be tasked. And the way you get tasked is to show up.
Like we are, and I don't know if it's just a community that I'm a part of, but we're a small community. I was walking on 6th Street, I think it was yesterday, after eating at a restaurant, and I'm with Miriam, and we're walking, going north, over 1st Avenue North, and 2 women in a red SUV round the corner, and they yell out the window, "Carla Bristol," at like the top of their lungs. And I lifted up my hands as to say, "I see you." And Miriam says, "I feel like I'm walking with a celebrity." So I think in St. Pete, if you're someone making an impact, I don't think it's difficult for people to see that. And you're one of those people that, the way I say it is like, we not from here, but we own this, right? So you came here, you showed up, and you have made an impact.
Well, my trainer, Richard Santora, we sometimes train at his gym, or we walk the pier, or we walk Mirror Lake, wherever we walk. And he'd like to give me $50 for everybody who doesn't see me. I'd be a rich man, because we get stopped at least once on any of our walks. But that's because, well, I don't know why it's because, but if I'm living in the village, I want the people in the village to know who I am as I know who they are.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I would attribute it to, other than saying yes, what I've learned after nearly 69 years on the planet is how to listen. And if you lead with that, a little grace, a little humility. I'm quoting my friend Teddy from Kraft. He said, it was certainly the most profound thing I heard all June, was that he leads with humility and grace.
That word grace keeps coming up a lot.
Yeah, so
because I feel like we want it, but we don't offer it enough.
You can't never offer it too much. And there's never a time when it's not needed. Never.
You ain't lying. Learn us something. Sermon in the living room.
Yes.
That's how it all starts.
So it's it's a very simple life. I have a wonderful partner. I have a wonderful home. I have wonderful friends in the city of St. Petersburg. And you're right. I came here in 1997 to do a job at American Stage. I met Jamie my second day here, and I came back July 2nd. This was in February. Came back July, and I stayed.
I came here in 96, so I must have cleared some of the way for you.
You must have. Clear cutting.
Do you so we are connected as a result. There's so many other connections, because as I interview people, they all think they met me at the studio. It's hilarious. So the question is, do you remember, Bob Devin Jones, where you first connected with me? Like, when did you come? When did you get to know me, or when did you first? What's your first memory of getting to know me?
I don't know this exactly the sequence, but a good friend was on our board, Sandra Gadsden.
Yep.
And she says, "Yeah, I know who should be on your board. You should contact Carla Bristol." And for some reason, I knew the name but I had a completely different view of who Carla Bristol was. I thought she was a, two-tone shoe wearing,
paint that picture.
What's that? Joseph's wearing, that Chanel outfit suit. And I recall you were very much Carla, because you say, so what do I have to do? And I tell him about, well, there is an annual what do you call it? Dues or something.
Yeah,
like
something.
A 620 membership, which is the name of the studio.
Yeah.
And you said, well, I sent my check. Now, I had never seen you. This was all over the phone.
Right, because you were talking about, I would like to get together for coffee with you. And I'm more like, it don't take all day to do nothing.
Yeah,
what we need to do.
and you have never wavered from that Carla. And I think, and of course, when you connect with people, if you really connect with them, then you connect with some of their connections, not all of them, or not any of them,
right.
But the possibility is there.
Right.
And because there's many people that I know them, and then that's where it seems to stop. But then other people, it's quite different. All the people that I know in this community, I think are the best people in the world. Now, if I make a new friend tomorrow, I'll include them in that. And then on the following Monday, I'll include them in that. But I just know some people are gracious, kind, helpful. They're like family. And I don't conflate family with friends, but the conflation is there because friends morph into family.
You're sitting here and I can't help but think about like having the conversation about Studio at 620 that you co-founded. Why did you feel a need after moving to St. Petersburg to be the co-founder of a space that has become the yes to so many, including myself? When I started the Black Arts and Film Festival, the first film ever was a friend of yours, and it was done at the studio. And it's like, what other city in the world? But what made you decide that rather than just being here, being an actor, we're going to get some of those titles in a second, but what made you decide, this is what I want to do here?
I would really have to say, if I really think about it, and I don't think about the why of what I do, but someone said, Jamie knew you needed something to do.
Because he's one busy man.
Yeah, but he didn't want you to leave.
Right.
And because in the initial couple of first years of our relationship, I was still working all over the country.
Okay.
And in Ireland. From the Kennedy Center to the Sacramento Theater Company to just any number of places. And so Dave Ellis and myself started the studio at 620. We first called it a theater, but Jim found the building. He pushed that initiative. He then found the building and then went to various members of our friends, which came the board of the LLC, to invest.
Oh, wow.
On a thing that was constantly morphing into whatever it was. We broke on June 20th, 2004, and we opened that New Year's Eve as part of first night in the Morian Arts Center, collaboration with a quilt show, African American quilt show.
Gee's Ben?
We had a couple of quilts from Gee's Ben too, called Grandma's Hands, 100 Years of African American Quilting.
Wow.
And that started, and we didn't know that was a need. And in fact, what has instructed the studio more than our own just initiative was just taking a mirror and taking it all parts of the city and seeing what was reflected in there. And say, yes, we'll do that. Yes.
Right.
It was our motto first. The answer is always yes. Then it became our mission. I met with an artist today, and someone who set up the meeting gave me their resume, and I love sometimes sharing with people. I said yes. So you don't have to pitch.
You don't have to keep up.
It's like,
right.
You
they call it selling beyond the close.
Yeah. We close the day you call.
Yes.
People
aren't used to that, so they always think there must be a gotcha. And why not appreciate the abundance of how Bob Devin Jones occurs? Because I tell you, Carla Bristol ain't saying yes to everything.
No, but I decided I can stay in that lane. And because if you subscribe to the Florida Orchestra, they might do some Brahms, they might do some Tchaikovsky or Saint-Saëns, and you say, I love it. And then they do Leonard Bernstein, you go, I don't like it. But you're going to still subscribe the next year because you might like all of their offerings.
Yes.
So we've had some, clunkers just because maybe we didn't work hard enough to bring out the essence of what they were doing. But it's far better to affirm we're going to do this because I was part of this panel with you, and this one galleryist said was, if somebody wants to show art in my gallery and they have not looked at my website, I showed them the door.
Yeah,
I don't have that luxury because you don't. And yesterday, Jabari Reed, I-Bombs, came to me, wants to do a show in August, and I made the time free. I already had tickets to go to LA. I'm going to switch them because what else am I going to say to I-Bombs or the soon-to-be I-Bombs?
Right. That's right.
It's important to affirm, because if you're looking for the next James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, Toni Morrison, you certainly can encounter them as we know their names now. But Toni Morrison at 19, at 60, and she may not know the procedure or the protocol.
That's right.
Get her work read, or the artist to get their work seen. And frankly, I don't care whether you know it or not. If you know enough to call me, the answer is yes.
Do you think this has to do with you having a background where you had to be said yes to as you pursued your career as an actor?
Yes. And I also knew, like when I moved to Seattle, that I was going places that somebody as tall as me hadn't gone before. And of a certain generation, we had to represent the race. And I'll grip and grin wherever, because obviously somebody gave me that benefit of the doubt, or that benefit, and sometimes there's no doubt about it, but they just give you the benefit. So it's easier for me to affirm we're going to do this, jar the floor, and make a joyful noise, whatever it is.
So you're one of few people that I know that you just have a genuine love for connections and for cooking.
Yes.
So, and getting a home cooked meal is one of the warmest things I think that someone could do for you. Is to invite you to share food and company, and you do it often. Why is that important to you?
I come from a big family. I come from a family that, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment with 8 people. So I slept in the bedroom with my 2 sisters, my parents, and when my little baby brother David came along, he slept in the baby bed, and in the hall, in the Murphy's bed, slept Horace and Thea's. We always ate around the same table. Mother could cook a chicken for 8 people.
Wow.
Find a way to make it work.
Right. You get your piece.
Sometimes second. Okay? I don't know how she did it. She always said, I like the wangs. Right? And I think, well, it's exactly what you said. I think the highest beatitude, grace, comfort is someone inviting you to be at their table, at table, at home with them, and they have prepared you a meal. There is no, in my view, higher accolades you could get. Maybe a Nobel Prize.
Right.
But other than that, somebody has made you a meal. Because when I cook, I put your name in the pot. So I'm anticipating on you all day.
Right.
And so when you come and taste those cornbread or those beans, because we used to have beans 3 to 4 nights a week.
Right.
But Mother would always make cornbread. That was the last thing to come out of the oven. She'd flip it on that, and that crusty top, and then that
I can't get enough of it.
Yeah. So many friends will have you over dinner and say, Bob, you bring this and you bring this. But I've got to get it. If I'm bringing you cornbread needs to be taken out of the oven and served.
Yes.
You can't wait an hour. So
I'm just grateful that I've been fortunate enough to be invited for so many of those delicious salmon dinners, chicken dinners, and now that I'm a vegetarian, I could appreciate all the other things that you always incorporate anyway.
Yeah, and I can do I'm just as good with a vegetarian meal because I'll make the focaccia, or if it's greens and beans and rice and cornbread and baked sweet potatoes, you'd be good.
Yeah, I've come here already since I've been a vegetarian this year, and I mean, I still had an incredible. Your salads are some of like the best. Blueberries and cranberries and walnuts, and it's the salad alone is filling. Much less having the cornbread, the veggies. I want to find out, like, you're still in love. So you talked about like meeting the love of your life, and then 5 months later, whatever, returning to stay.
Yes.
And then you received a Lifetime Achievement Award in Tampa, and I was present, and you read a speech, and I mean, all of us was crying about this love. What is it about this love that we were talking about being full? Like, what fills you about this love?
Well, I think I have never, that I can recall, introduced myself as Bobby. The only people who call me Bobby is my family.
Yes.
And I recall after meeting Jamie in February of '97, going back to Los Angeles after the month, and he left me a message on the answering. So this is before cell phones, on the answering machine, and he said Bobby. So like the what's the word? The movie Jerry Maguire. You had me at hello. He had me at Bobby. Because he sees me. Right. And
Right. It's not the accolades. It's not this. It's I love this man.
Yeah. So, and as I told you in that speech that I read at that Achievement Award, was that I knew the moment that I met him that I had loved and missed him my entire life.
It. I had loved and missed the presence of this that I now feel my entire life.
Yes. So that was...
Because when it shows up, like, you know it belongs there.
Yeah, it's like cornbread right out of the skillet. Because if you keep it in the skillet more than a minute, it's going to sweat. You want to flip it, have that crusty crust in that moist center. And people who thinks I'm going to just bring over my cast iron skillet,
right,
and then 15, 20, an
yeah,
hour later, we're going to eat that.
It ain't the same.
It's never
So
the same.
I can't even have you have a cornbread store. If you have a cornbread store, it'll be like, what's the name of that place where they put on the light so you know it's piping hot. That's what this has to be. People be lined up out the door,
Yes.
waiting. There'll be 30 skillets, 15 ovens in this.
Well, at Button's Cafe in Memphis, Tennessee, it's no longer there. They made yeast rolls that were to die for. But they made cornbread, dare I say it, as good or better than my mother's.
What?
So I would get a vegetable plate 5 times a week.
Oh, wow.
With extra cornbread. I'd get the greens, the black eyed peas, the rice, and the candied yams. And I get a double order of those cornbreads.
Where were you born?
Los Angeles, but my parents are from Louisiana.
Okay.
My mother's from Shreveport, and my dad's from Lake Providence.
And here it is, we get to benefit from you.
Yes.
And we get to benefit from her. Because, I would say through us is whatever we have been poured into us by whomever. So thank you, Mama, for the cornbread. And the cornbread continues.
It does. And,
right.
and
in the way that she did it too.
Yeah. Well, anytime somebody says, don't flip the cornbread, I just go.
They don't know what they're doing.
And I don't feel too bad about it, but I'll flip it as soon as I can and just cut a little slice of it just so that I get it the way it's supposed to taste, because I know we're not eating for another 45 minutes. But in the best possible circumstances, I'll cook the cornbread at your house if I'm going to dinner there, so that
you can have
the way it's supposed to be served. That's all. And it's very simple. It's very simple.
Bobby the playwright. So I got to really enjoy, I really enjoyed Voodoo Macbeth. But what's coming up? What's going to be happening that we should be thinking about, looking for this year? Well, 2023.
24. I'm going to do a production of Hamlet.
Okay.
I found a Hamlet that I want to work with, John Bambury. I'm going to bring back the social justice roundtables. I'm going to kick that off in the late summer or early autumn with Ray Arsenault and a good friend of his. I'm going to do this take over both galleries with I-bombs. He's going to do an installation in the Ellis Gallery.
Okay.
I'm really getting it out of my system. I'm going to do something with writing. I don't know exactly what that is, like in addition to the poetry slams, but people who are writers, having them talk about their writing, have somebody dramatize their writing, maybe, and then have that be discussed. And certainly in this final year, bring back a couple of more food-related encounters. Might do a stage reading of Uncle Ben's A Home-Cooked Negro Narrative with people like you and Renee Flowers playing the various characters. Ken Welsh. I'm going to ask everybody as a fundraiser for the studio. But I think that was my first play on my own.
Yes.
And so there are a lot of delicious things that we're going to still continue with Midtown Through Our Eyes, Journeys in Journalism.
That's powerful.
And we also do exceptional voices with Pinellas County Schools, people who are on the spectrum somewhere.
Yes.
So our success has been predicated on the wealth of not only talent but creativity we have right here in the Tampa Bay area, but specifically the dirt of Pinellas County. The dirt is special.
It is, and it's so special. You have a key to the city. Is it around here somewhere?
It's in my office.
It's up in your office?
Yes.
I gotta make sure I visit the key.
Yes.
I aspire. Oh, how I admire and aspire Uh,
Yeah.
Ricky, what's with? I feel like you and your vests, it's synonymous. Like if you see people, people have walked behind people just because they were wearing a vest and a white shirt, thinking it was you. When did you start wearing vests? And
Well, there are pictures of me from the middle 1990s
oh wow.
with a vest. So this has been my uniform for almost 30 years. Khaki trousers, a white Oxford shirt, and a waistcoat. I used to dress more like a hippie. My mother used to say Bobby. Yeah, I used to wear these overalls, and I might wear it with a nice shirt and a tie, but she said Bobby, you know. So I have about 20 Oxford shirts.
Wow.
And about 20 pairs of khaki trousers.
Wow.
And that's my uniform. But I can dress up when I need to. Like I was Bob Heitman's wife, when he passed, gave me his black velvet jacket. You've seen me in that.
Yeah.
And so I wear that, and I have a few ties. But on the day-to-day, I just like wearing a white shirt, khaki trousers, some comfortable shoes, and a waistcoat. Even in the summer.
What's something that you haven't accomplished yet that's eluded you, and you're like, I still want to accomplish this? What is that?
Oh, I don't have anything I want to accomplish. I want to be able to still keep my right mind and be able to write. Mm-hmm. And I would like to do 7 minutes of stand-up.
Really?
Yes.
Why 7 minutes?
My best friend, Joe Marinelli, since 1976, went to college together.
That's the grandfather clock that tells us on the hour.
So he has done stand-up. He's an actor and an educator. So I would like to do that. I have this character that I have thinking of doing, Professor Hip Hop. And I break down to the window.
Right.
To the wall with a chart.
Right. I just want you to do the intimate 7 minutes at your house with dinner, and then we can give you the feedback before we take it on the road.
Yeah,
I want to be part of that listening audience. Yeah,
but that's
7 minutes.
You know,
6 minutes. Do you know, like, I initially wanted to call this podcast 6 Minutes with Carla B. 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh. Your own.
So I don't really, not that I don't have goals, but the thing I want to do is, one, not that I haven't ever done anything like that. And I just think Joe Marinelli was fearless to get up there at the Comedy Store, wherever it was in Hollywood, and do that.
Yeah, comedy is difficult. It's timing.
Yes.
Just the way that joke is told
and placed. And I'm a very witty person with repartee, but you need that. I would need that same repartee if I did stand up, because their silence or their listening will inform how I deliver. So
the raindrops.
It's raining?
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love that your back is to all this window, but it is most assuredly not just raining but pouring. And cookies.
Yes.
Cookies. Every time, we know my daughter is into your cookies specifically. Like, how did you decide to start baking cookies? And your cookies are in stores. So is that one of your creative outlets? Like, what?
I cook because it reminds me of my mother.
Okay.
And these friends were starting this little bodega in the Old Southeast Market. And I said, this is when they had maybe a dozen things on the various shelves. And I said, okay, here's some cookies. And I just started making them. And even after they were no longer associated with the market, I continued to make cookies. But I stopped that about 4 months ago.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Really? And yet, Carla Bristol had delicious fresh baked cookies just a few days ago.
Yeah, I'm always delighted to make cookies if someone requests them.
Right.
Because again, when I cook, it puts me in some kind of contact with my mother, Ola. But not a BB King thing, the thrill is gone, because I continue to like to make cookies, but making them on some other schedule, because I'm always busy, and sometimes I would just be okay.
Right.
I'm kind of glad I'm not
tethered
to. But anytime you need cookies or Jade need cookies,
yes,
you just have to ask.
There's a certain comfort that comes with cookies. I will say on behalf of this entire St. Petersburg community, the Tampa Bay community, I could do this because I'm Carla B. I want to thank you for being a part of our city, for being a part of the fabric that made the quilt. That is what we get to experience. The footprints of the studio, the handprints that's everywhere, has touched so many people who have left, returned, but they just carry it on. Thank you. I don't think we say thank you enough, but thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate being able to sit here and chill with you and talk and get my big brother advice that I get to have. So I know we have left folks with a few bits and bites that they could chew on. And when time affords you, visit Studio 620, visit the website, and but let's intersect. So come out. We'd like to see you, and know it's a space of yes.